Hello everyone, welcome to Galileo Contracting episode 10. This is your host Lorenzo, and today we're going to try and visit Thalia. Let's have a look. Thalia, the launch window is happening in 2 hours, and in case you don't know Thalia, let's have a quick look at our solar heads-up display. It's not this one, it's Thalia, this one. And the reason I picked a planet close to the sun is to get a transfer window sooner rather than later. This one was 90 days after the previous episode, so as to not have our high G-force contract expire. So that necessitated picking planets close to the sun, and we've got a craft called the Solar Explorer, which seemed to make sense to head to somewhere close to the sun. Without further ado, let's fire up the rocket. This one is submitted by Mr. Lee, that also provided the previous probe that's currently heading out. Is that actually true? I'm not sure that's true. He made the probe with the wing on top that did stuff and gave us science. So we're sending this probe with more science package inwards to the sun towards Thalia, and let's launch the rocket. There we go. And I've not actually gone over this rocket with great scrutiny. It seems to be, it is an asparagus staged rocket. I think we'll go, we're losing the first engines now, so let's ditch those. We're dropping them straight back on the launch pad. I hope they're just going to clear the path so that we don't have to pay for repairs. That seems to be going alright. Anyway, we'll fix that when we get back anyway. There's no one on board. Oh, we already ditched the last ones. These things drain fast because it's got one of these big engines as well. Cool. So what we're going to do, the plan for today's mission, is a standard orbital insertion, followed by a interplanetary ejection maneuver and a visit to Thalia, which will be interesting because I have no idea what kind of planet that is. That's the thought of this Galileo solar system. I didn't look up anything about it. We will just have to go find out planets, the fact whether they have gravity or not. Well, they would have gravity, but whether they have high or low gravity, atmospheres, stuff like that, just by going there. So that's exactly what we're trying to do today. Thalia being close to the sun, I expect, based on realism, to find a scorched, barren world without an atmosphere, which could have been like boiled off by the close proximity of the star. So I don't know. I'm being distracted because I'm getting a WhatsApp message on a pop-up on my computer, which I have no idea that was even a thing. It may have been caught by the recording software. If it has been, you're gonna get a small glimpse into my life, maybe. Anyway, it doesn't matter. We are going up. Our apoapsis is just about cresting outside of the atmosphere. This rocket is a joy to fly, much easier than the previous ones that kind of had a tendency to turn over because they had a wing on the front. That was interesting for sure. And the last one, even though the mission it did like it performing putting a satellite around Seti and then landing and returning with a whole bunch of science, it made a weird flip in atmospheres. Probably was due to pilot error or something, but that put me off a little bit. Oh, no, it didn't put me off. It like caught me and surprised, unawares and surprised me. Jesus Christ, my words are horrible today. Fortunately, we've got engines. We don't need words. We've got fuel and lit bottom ends of rockets. The first stage is about done. Let's see what we have in store as a second stage, which we will actually need to get in orbit. How terribly traditional. We've got the Poodle engine. This is a nice one. It's a fairly heavy engine, but its ISP is fairly high. But I think for rockets of this size, it's possibly not that well. It's possibly a bit too heavy. I think for this phase of the flight, like final orbit insertion or in-space maneuvers, the smaller engine is actually better suited. Maybe even have like two of them, because that one is even more efficient and has obviously weighs a lot less. So that there's a thought for future designs. This one, I'm on the fence about it. It's got a nice thrust on it, but it's also, if I recall, fairly heavy. But then again, maybe it has been changed in the current version of KSP. Our orbit is a little bit wonky. Actually, it's not. We've got a 70-kilometer periapsis and a 300-kilometer apoapsis, which is fine. Now let's see what we're getting ourselves into regarding a Thalia insertion. Whoa, is it me or is there like a big inclination on Thalia? It's not that big. We do need to start moving our ejection. Start planning our ejection burn. No, actually, we need to go the other way. I'm being stupid. We want to reduce our orbit, so we want to burn here. And that's the nice thing of going inwards towards the star, because that lets us do our burn on the sunlit side of things. Oh wait, that's Icarus. That's even too far. We don't want to go back that far. We want to go to Thalia here. Oh, that actually, even that prospective burn to Icarus didn't take a whole lot of delta V. This should not be as difficult to explore, I think, as maybe I was thinking before. Cool. So let's just trying to fine-tune the orbit here so that we may get an insertion to get an encounter with Thalia here. Is our ascending node? It's not the best, but then again, we can probably fine-tune that later. Here we go. That's something resembling an approach. All right, this is already telling me something. This the sphere of influence of Thalia is apparently fairly tiny, which tells me that the planet itself is fairly tiny as well. Then again, it being so close to its parent star, that sphere of influence is going to be tiny regardless. Because the way it works, to get an encounter, you need to get within like the sphere of space around a celestial body where its gravity dominates, and that's going to be a tug of war between neighboring larger bodies. And the closer into the star you are, the bigger an effect the star is going to have, and the closer the sphere of influence around your body that you can actually dominate with your own gravity, being a celestial body here, shrinks. So the same planet will be much harder to intercept if it's close to a star than whether it's farther out, just because you hit that sphere of influence sooner. Anyway, with that little tidbit, we have arrived at our ejection burn maneuver node. So I'm lighting the engine. The little heavy poodle engine is putting out a nice 3 Gs of acceleration. What we're going to do is we're going to do this burn, and then we're going to go to the descending node here, which is nicely positioned close to us as we depart, and then we're going to fix our inclination and the actual encounter. Let's see, do we have a readout on our remaining delta V? We've got about 3.5 kilometers per second. I feel that should at least be enough for a flyby, if not a full orbital insertion. Oh shit, the camera just thingy. Did I intersect my own planet just here on ejection? Periapsis is no, it's still easily outside of the atmosphere. Cool, we did exhaust the second stage. That's leaving the planet, so we're not littering. We dropped the first stage back on Earth. I suppose that's littering, but the second one is just gonna fly around the solar system forever, which might be littering as well, but you know, not in a way that actually will bother us ever again. Let's put these antenna online while we're at it, because we are going to go off into the deep end. This is interesting. They were like perfectly extended, and we're going to like extend them, and all they do is like rotate 45 degrees. Sure, put them in this position. If that works better for you, you do you. Cool, I think we're there. As spoken by every space scientist ever. I think we did something. Oh, actually our ejection burn is incredibly sloppy, look at that. What you want is to have the exit vector align with the orbital path of the planet, either prograde or retrograde. That means you did an efficient injection that will match with the predictions of your intercept, which we didn't do. Look, there's a huge discrepancy here. So we will go into solar sphere of influence and try and fix that sloppiness that I did before. I'm not going to spend too much time trying to let's remove these alarms. We don't need them. Not going to spend too much time sciencing the Gale system for the main reason that we already did that. So, descending node. Let us attempt a maneuver node that will bring us to Thalia then. And we will be traveling still parallel to Gale, so our sensor range should be sufficient for that, I reckon. There we go. That would put us on a 0.1 degree thingy. That's good. And now we have to actually get that intercept. See, this is a fairly hefty burn that probably if I did a better job ejecting, we wouldn't have needed. This is like fixing problems of the past. Oh my god, there's so many numbers. I'm not going to. Ooh, closest approach is 13,000 kilometers. I will sign for that. Or that's with the sphere of influence, so that's still like a really far encounter. Anyway, yeah, let's do this and then we'll figure it out later. Because there's always later. Never forget, kids. Always, always later. Alright, so that's a 15-day time warp. We need to keep an eye on our electric charge and our signal connection. Not that we can do anything about those if they go wonky, but then at least... Oh my god, the signal connection is already degrading really hard. Oh my... Did we forget to do anything? Let's see. We have the communitrons, the high gain antenna. They are on. This way, of course, we're never going to... The Harvester Massive, that's like that's a region on Kerbin. We have 1% signal transmission. That's not a lot of signal transmission. Let's immediately put that to the most use we can. Oh, we can't. I mean, we can, but we already have this science. Right, that's a bit of an oversight maybe in our current level of technology and the desire to go to outer planets. If our communication is this limited, then of course, how the hell are we ever going to communicate here? We are going to catch up back to the planet a little bit as we dive inside the solar system, but of course the range is going to open up tremendously. So that's probably a lesson for the future. Either like really pepper the craft with antenna and make it a hedgehog of transmitting spines. Or I don't know, maybe add a Kerbal so he can write notes rather than, you know, transmit everything back. But then that's going to, of course, require us to return the Kerbal, necessitating a much larger rocket. So maybe that's the message here. You take whatever message you want to hear. Either we need more better antenna, or we need Kerbals with big space cruisers that can return home and stuff. But I will predict that this little thing will soon leave transmission range forever, and that's a pity because I think we actually have a Thalia periapsis here. Let's see if we can fine-tune that from here. Yeah, we can a little bit. That's Thalia periapsis. Maybe we're gonna have to like build an intercept, a collision course, so we can at least see with our Gale-based telescopes whether or not this thing's got an atmosphere. I think we've got a collision course right here. That's at least worthy of exploration, right? Okay, we've got Solar Explorer with a red connection link, but because of the shape of our orbit, we are maybe gonna catch back up to the planet. We'll see what happens anyway. The planet is racing ahead of us. We have lost connection. But now that we pass apoapsis, we are going to slowly, we're gonna drop closer in the orbit sphere, but of course we're opening the distance relative to the sun. We have seemed to have lost the encounter somehow, but then again also not. This is weird. We have an encounter, but we don't have the. We also have a closest approach thingy. Anyway, we're gonna see what happens. Let's pretend that there was a design oversight with the probe, causing us to not have active downlinks, but our telescopes are strong enough to like watch what happens and see if we get the impact right, maybe gauge some information about Thalia. So there we go. Completely derelict, we can't control anything. And here we go. Did we actually... Yeah, I think we are definitely going to get some good exploratory information. Can I secretly control it anyway? No, I can't. Cool, let's see. Ah, there it is. Hello, Thalia. You're looking very red today. Oh, I hope we're not going to... Oh, look at that. You can see all the other... You can see a other planet. Which one is that? Oh, Eta. That's a Thalian moon. Cool, we discovered a celestial body. Nice. So, here we go. Thalia, ladies and gentlemen. Red, slight shades of white near the equator. Unlikely to be ice, could be just refraction of the light. At about 1,000 kilometers altitude, it still looks fairly small. Judging visually, this is a very small world. It's like we're 300 kilometers up, and I think Gale looks a lot bigger from here. Also, it doesn't seem to have an atmosphere. I mean, I'm not seeing one. We're 200 kilometers now. It still looks fairly tiny. Let's see. The biome is called the coagulate means. Don't know what that means. The biome is the abyss. 70 kilometers, still no sign of an atmosphere. 50 kilometers, we are somewhat crashing in the dark, which is a pity. Although we can still see the sun here. Take some scenic pictures. Unfortunately, this is not going to net us any science. No, probe control, yeah, obviously. There we go, just the last couple of kilometers. A sunset over a strange alien world for this probe that unfortunately couldn't report home. And the sun sets literally and figuratively for the Solar Explorer. And I just didn't time that right because that actually happened. Impact. Well, on the bright side, we did manage to hit the planet. I think our interplanetary ballistic missiles are hereby vetted. That is great. Unfortunately, we did discover the hard way what the limitations of our communications equipment is, which is the next challenge for you, dear designers. And talking to you, dear designers, of course, don't forget that we have a active mission for a high G adventure. We concluded in a previous episode that this one was impossible. We are rich now, so let's just cancel that contract and incur the penalty, so we're slightly less rich. This is going to be fun. Looking forward to that one. Thanks for watching. See you around for the next episode, hopefully, and goodbye.